Hey friend, in today's watercolor tutorial, I'm going to be teaching how to do this beginner watercolor fall tree forest. This would make such a cute postcard or greeting card for the autumn season. Without further ado, let's get painting. The colors I'm using today are orange, Venetian Red, yellow, VanDyke Brown, and burnt umber. I've taped down a size 5 by 7 inch watercolor sheet of paper, and I'm using just a size 6 round brush by Princeton and a sponge brush. First, to get started, I just want to saturate my sponge brush with some water and just paint a wash all the way across the paper. We're going to be using a lot of wet and wet technique for this painting, and it's going to be a nice moody type of tree landscape with all the fall foliage, kind of the misty foreground. It's going to be very, very fun to create. So to get started, I want to take some burnt umber, so one of our lighter browns, and I'm going to start just by doing a few vertical lines, just like so. Some are going to be thinner and some are going to be thicker than others, and they're just going to kind of fade out into the mist. But these are our trees that are way far out in the background. And I probably want to do, I'd say, around 7 of them. And again, just some simple vertical lines. Okay, so while these lines are kind of misty, I want to start to apply a little bit of our foliage color, and I'm going to start with just a little bit of yellow, and all I'm going to do is gently just tap using the belly of my brush just to get kind of a wide area of the yellow in a irregular manner, allowing the brush texture to kind of mimic the foliage. And it's okay that the brown kind of meshes a little bit with the yellow. So here we're just kind of building and layering our foliage and our trunks. Okay, so there's some of our yellow. Next up, I want to take a little bit of brown, a little bit of orange, and I just want to apply just a few touches of this beautiful kind of bright, vivid orange. It can layer a little bit with the yellow as well. Alrighty, next I want to start to kind of build some more tree trunks that are more in kind of like a mid area compared to the ones that are foggy. So I'm gonna take a good concentration of burnt umber again, and I don't know if you can hear in the background, but 2 of our huskies are having totally zoomies right now and running around everywhere. So funny. Okay, but anywho, I'm just gonna start to lay out some more saturated trunks. And this time I'm gonna allow some of them to get cut off by some of the foliage. So I am just kind of skipping a few areas, trying to get somewhat of a smoother line. But slowly I'm starting to build my saturation here. And right below this area, I'm gonna add another deeper, more vibrant tree trunk, letting it get cut off here by the foliage. So skipping a couple inches there, and then applying and carrying through the trunk just above there. Next, I want to do another one off towards the right. Maybe I'm going to do a little bit of a branch coming off the left side of this tree, so just a crooked angled dash line right there. Let's do another one off towards the left. I'll do a couple little blops of the brown just poking through that foliage. And then maybe one more just kind of off-centered, maybe slightly thinner than the others just to have some variety. Okay, so now I want to start to kind of build our foliage a bit more. I want to layer on some Venetian Red. And again, I'm just layering this a little bit, overlapping on some of the foliage in the tree trunks. And if you have a little bit too much water pooling in one area, I just take a little bit of paper towel and just sop it up like that, and you're good to go. Again, I'm just doing this really loose texture, just tapping with my size 6 round brush here. Not overthinking it too much, just really applying it nice and loose. I'm gonna layer up just a little bit more orange as well. So here you can really have fun and kind of play with the different color variants here between the orange, yellow, and the red. Okay, so this is kind of like our background of our painting, just kind of a nice base layer. I'm gonna go ahead and allow this area to set and dry, and then when we come back, we're gonna add some finer details and some more trees and foliage that are really popping against the more blurry background. All right, now that my background is dry, I want to start to use some of our darker brown. I'm going to use some VanDyke Brown to get some more trees that are really popping. And so I'm going to start towards the left here. And I want to start to just kind of outline a darker brown line. And this time it's not bleeding out like the first layer was. I'm just going to add a little bit more brown just to layer and deepen the value. Alrighty, and then from here, I do want to add some branches. And one helpful way to think about when doing branches is to paint basically the letter Y and build off of that. So there I've got like an angled Y. I may elongate one of the arms of the Y and then add a second branch on one, just like that. And then down below, I'm going to do another branch that's slightly curved and angled. And then from there, add a smaller branch maybe that's running off the page. But you can kind of see how the letter Y is kind of a helpful foundation when learning how to paint and build branches. So here I'm just adding a few more touches of branches. And then while the tree is still slightly wet, I'm gonna layer on a few leaves and foliage. I'm gonna start with some of our orange. And again, I'm allowing some of that brown to bleed into the orange. That's totally okay. And again, I'm just tapping my brush. And then I'm gonna have an area here where the orange is kind of overlapping the trunk. Okay, and then to add a little bit of shading to the orange, I'm just going to take a touch of burnt umber and apply some of this brown just to help give a little bit more of a pop of dimension to the orange. Okay, next up we're gonna do another tree, and this one's gonna kind of overlap slightly with this one. So starting with that darker trunk, I'm allowing the trunk to get kind of cut off by the foliage of this tree, and then just doing a little dash just above the foliage. And just allowing a couple flecks of the dark brown to pop in between the trees as well. Then from here, I want to start to build and layer some branches. Again, kind of playing with that letter Y kind of format here. Not overthinking it too much, but just doing some angled lines. Okay, and this time I think this tree can be yellow. So again, I'm just playing around with the color. I think I have a little bit of green with my yellow, but all good. We will work with what we've got. There we go. Now it's a little bit brighter. So there, I'm just layering while that brown is still wet. So that way the brown can kind of bleed into the yellow a little bit more. And I'm being mindful that I still want some of this background, the foggy background, to show. So I'm not like going overly crazy with the foliage on the trees that are more visible and more popping. So again, just being mindful of that so that way things don't get kind of overpowered. Okay, next I'm going to do another tree. This one, maybe I'll just make a little bit thinner just for variety. And it's okay if it bleeds a little bit into the yellow. And now I'm just playing with the branches. Again, just playing with those angles of the Y shapes. Okay, this tree can have a little bit of the Venetian Red. And again, I'm just repeating this process for these trees here. I may be able to fit one or two more off towards the right, kind of layering. But that's kind of the technique overall with the trees that are more towards the front. So I'm just going to carry on that process for the rest of the landscape. some finishing touches, I'm going to take a little bit more VanDyke Brown and just outline the left side of our trunks, just to give a little bit more shading. Okay, and then I'd also like to add maybe just a couple more smaller branches that are just in kind of the white gap areas, just smaller trunks, sorry. Just some smaller little baby trees with just a couple little branches weaving through. I'll do maybe one over towards this side as well. And here I'm using the burnt umber, just a little bit of a lighter color. Thank you so much for joining me for today's watercolor fall tree forest tutorial. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any further watercolor tutorials.